Hello, hello. It's Bonnie, and we are here for our live Q&A. So I'm sorry I'm a minute late. If you're here, come say hello. I was just trying to pull up the questions. Today is AMA, Ask Me Anything. And I have a bunch of questions that came in, and I was trying to be efficient and pull up those questions in advance. So hold on. I have it here, and I just need to bring it up. I was just having a little trouble with that before, and I don't know why I'm still having trouble with that. So give me a moment, please. All right. I think I got it now. All right. If you're here, can you say hi? Let me know who is here with me. Also, while we're waiting on some people to join us, I'm going to go ahead and go live on Instagram because I promised them I would go live there as well. So this is an exciting day today because I got a lot of stuff to share with you. So let's see. All right. Hey, Instagram followers. We are live here on Intuitive Eating Wednesdays, AMA Day. Ask Me Anything. So I've got you guys on Facebook and on YouTube, and I've got you guys on Instagram. So you know the drill because this isn't the first time I'm streaming on all channels. When I'm looking this way, I'm directly talking to YouTube and Facebook. When I'm looking this way, it's Instagram. So you are going to each get my profile at some point in time. So, all right. When you pop in to the room here, can you come and say hello? Come and let me know who is here because I always like to do, I like to have interaction. So I do have some questions that were submitted in advance. So we are definitely going to get to those questions. But if you're here with me live, by all means, I'd love it if you would ask me your questions live. All right, so I do have another question that came in just now, and what I want to do is I just want to print it. So let me take that second to print it so I can appropriately answer this lovely lady. It's just easier if I have it in front of me. All right. So yesterday we had a great training session. So were you with me on last night's training? If you're with me now live, can you pop a comment in if you were with me or not? Just say yes, I was. Say no, I missed it. Either way, let me know. Hold on, let me grab this question. Okay. So if you're here, please let me know who's here. Let me know where you're joining from. Where do you live? And if you were with me on our live training last night. So last night, it was awesome. 3 steps to eating for healthy living using the intuitive eating blueprint. And I did open up the doors to my intuitive eating basics course, which is a 4-week course, but we're not going to talk about that now. We're going to answer questions because there were a lot of people that were on that training and that emailed me after that said they resonated with a lot of what I was talking about around around the diet mentality. So if you know me, if I'm new to you, I'm going to share something really important. I love interacting, right? Your interaction and participation pretty much gives me my energy. So I know there are some people here live with me. I'm not going to call anybody out, but definitely comment in the box. You could totally stay anonymous if you want, but I want to get your questions. So if you have a burning question around intuitive eating, around dieting, around emotional eating, you got to put your question in and I'm happy to answer it. Were you on the training last night? If yes, did you have any ahas? If you weren't and you missed it, if you want the link to the replay, post below. I would love the replay link. And I will come back and make sure you get that link. The replay will come down on Friday. So let's tackle some of the questions that have come in. I'm gonna go to my list. I printed it out. I tried to have it on my screen as well, but I'm gonna just go to my list here. So I have a question here that says, how do you handle quote unquote diet when you're faced with health issues like high cholesterol, prediabetes, and you're looking to keep from exacerbating these issues? So this is a great question. Do you have this question too? Because I know this, I could talk forever about this topic. It comes up all the time. People call me, they reach out to me, they have high cholesterol or they have high blood sugar levels, whether it's prediabetes or they do have diabetes. And the recommendation from their physician is to lose weight and to diet or don't eat carbs. I hear this over and over again. However, what we know is that the diets don't work. And even if you are strong enough to stay to this diet and lose that weight and your numbers do improve, up to 97% of people will regain that weight plus more. And when you do so, your numbers will go back up. I've seen it with my clients. If that's something you've seen in yourself, can you please comment below? If you've seen it in yourself, if you've seen it in somebody else, let me know. It's unfortunate that physicians and other healthcare practitioners aren't on the page with the diet is not the prescription. You can't tell people your prescription is weight loss because weight loss is not a skill and it is not a behavior. You can't just go out and do weight loss, right? Can you do that? Who knows how to just go out and do weight loss? Nobody. What is weight loss? Weight loss is an outcome of habit and behavior change. And so when we're trying to improve cholesterol and we're trying to improve blood sugar levels and we're trying to improve gut health, if we're focusing on trying to intentionally lose weight, we're focusing on the wrong things. Instead, we want to focus on your habits. We want to focus on your behaviors. We want to focus on how you're nourishing yourself. And we do that through a weight neutral perspective. And so to answer this question, how do you handle the quote unquote diet part when you're faced with health issues? The very first piece of this is number one, we've got to work on the mindset. We've got to work on moving away from the diet mentality. We've got to move away from thinking the diet is going to improve those numbers. And instead, we've got to put the focus on habits and behaviors. What are your thoughts? Pop a comment. Who's here with me live? I want to hear your thoughts. I want to talk back and forth with you because this is a very important question and a very important topic and on the minds of so many people. When you're faced with health issues, when you focus on diet and intentionally trying to pursue weight loss, you only make the health condition worse. You do. 40%, if not more, of people with type 2 diabetes exhibit disordered eating behaviors. So, can we implement and integrate intuitive eating into our life while we have health conditions we're trying to manage? The answer is yes. Each individual is a little different. If you are not somebody that has a diet mentality, you've not been chronically dieting for years, then you may be able to begin addressing habits and behaviors and nourishment from that weight neutral perspective without the diet mentality kind of coming in and fighting you. Because what would happen is if you say, okay, let's talk about how do I eat to manage my blood sugar levels? And we begin that discussion. Yeah, you're sitting with a heavy diet mentality. That is strong. It's entrenched. Then all of a sudden, the education around meal planning, eating, nourishing yourself for best blood sugars is all heard as rules. Thou shalt not. And what happens with rules? Eventually, we rebel. Same thing if your cholesterol is elevated. Same thing. The do's, the don'ts. I can, I can't. I can have this, I can't have that. Right? Those lists, in the end of the day, when you restrict yourself from the diet mentality perspective, it sets you up to have deprivation. And deprivation leads to rebound eating, overeating, and binge eating. So we can absolutely address high cholesterol. First of all, what I like to do with my clients who have high cholesterol is instead of talking about what foods we need to pull out, we talk about what foods we want to put in. Because there are nutrition therapy recommendations to help lower cholesterol that have nothing to do with your weight. It is still weight neutral. And the same goes for diabetes. So yes, it's a long answer to this first question, but we can we can utilize intuitive eating in medical nutrition therapy, specifically per this question, high cholesterol and prediabetes. Now, Paula, I don't know if Paula, if you're here, I think you said you might have been driving. So you submitted a question as well. And you wanted to, let's see. I know we're going to have a call a little later, so we'll delve into the personal aspect, Paula, for you. But you were also talking about intuitive eating management with high cholesterol. And that's exactly what I was just talking about. So Paula shares that her food choices have changed over the years, the last couple of years, because she was caring for her parents. And so there was less self-care. Remember, we talked about that on the training last night, right? That second step, so 3 steps to eating for healthy living using the intuitive eating blueprint. That first step was what I was talking about, shifting out of the diet mentality, rejecting that diet mindset, right? Fighting back against diet culture. The second, remember we talked about self-care and fighting back against that inner critic voice. So Paula, what I hear in your question is that how you cared for yourself changed dramatically when you were caring for your parents, right? So I know you may not be on with me now, but you're more than welcome to comment later on this. And so how you nourish yourself changed. And at the end of the day, your cholesterol was elevated, right? We can absolutely integrate the intuitive eating concepts and some self practices and reconnecting with hunger and fullness along with nourishment, consistent nourishment to help lower those numbers. And you do not need to diet to do that. Okay, so that was really one question, but 2 questions because I answered, the person submitted the question and Paula had sort of like a follow-up question to that. Let me pause for just a second. For those of you with me live, say hello. Can you tell me where you're calling in from? You're not calling, I guess, where you're showing up from. Where are you from? Were you on the training last night? And what are your thoughts about what I've just spoken about? Do you have experience with this? Do you have experience with having higher cholesterol, blood sugar levels, and the doctor's telling you that you got to lose this weight in order to get healthy, only for those numbers to go back up when you regain that weight? What is your experience? So comment on Instagram, comment on YouTube, comment on Facebook, and let's learn from each other. And as you're thinking about that, I'm going to read the next question. The second question that was submitted, if one person is following intuitive eating, how would you handle meal and food choices for family members who are not? So when I read this question, what is the first thing that comes to my mind? Does anybody who's here with me live, or if you're listening on replay, can you pick up some of the language in this question? So I'll kind of give you a hint. Following. If I'm following intuitive eating, the word following typically is something that you've utilized in your dieting world. It's part of the dieting language. I'm following my meal plan. I'm following my diet. I'm following fill in the blank. With intuitive eating, I much prefer to reframe to an intuitive eating practice. I'm practicing intuitive eating. So one of the things that's really important is looking at your language. Are you using a dieter's language? Because that is also something to not criticize, not judge. It's just, oh, curiosity. I'm recognizing I'm using the language of a dieter. It'll help you shift out of that diet mentality. And so in this question is, if one person is following intuitive eating, whoever submitted this question, I would ask you to just check in with yourself. Have you been turning intuitive eating into a diet? Because that's common. And again, don't judge yourself about that. That is common. If you're with me live, have you been practicing intuitive eating, or have you been trying to recover from chronic dieting using the intuitive eating principles, and have you fallen into that little trap of turning it into a diet? Let me know. Put a comment. I don't see, where's my comments? Come on, peeps. Put some comments. Let me know who's here. So in this question, what I'm understanding is you are learning to practice intuitive eating, but other family members are not. And so if you've put this question out there for me and you're here with me live, let's talk about this, because my question really is, the other family members, are they dieting? Because I understand how that can make it difficult for you, right? Maybe they say to you, I don't want to have this and this and this and this and food in the house because it's not on my diet. But you are learning intuitive eating. And within the concepts of intuitive eating, we want to have exposure to all foods. So I need more information to the person who submitted this. The person who submitted this question, I need a little more information about the other family members, because really, when you're practicing intuitive eating, you're eating. And if they're not following a strict diet, which is preventing you from having that variety and exploring different foods, then it's just eating. So let me know more information on this question. Okay. Anybody with me live? Do you have questions? If you're here with me live, you get priority. Put your questions in the comment box. Any question you have around intuitive eating, any question you have from last night's training, pop it into the box. So we talked a lot last night about the 3 steps to eating for healthy living. So we're following up on that today. And as a reminder, I opened the doors for Intuitive Eating Basics, my 4-week course to help you dip your toes into intuitive eating and get a taste of what intuitive eating is. Let me know if you have any questions about that as well. All right, the next question. I find I overeat at events such as weddings and parties because I'm eating food that I normally would not be able to get, and I want to taste everything. How do I stop this? So I'm interested to hear your thoughts, right? What do you think? What do you think is going on here? So the person who submitted this question, the whole idea behind this question is that there are foods that she's exposed to at these events that she doesn't expose herself to on a day-to-day basis. And she is still sitting with that diet mentality of good food, bad food. And that is what's driving her to quote unquote overeat, using her words, at these events. And then the diet mentality kind of comes in and says, you really shouldn't be eating this. You're not going to get this again because you know you shouldn't be eating this. So guess what? Get it all in now, right? So this is part of it. So how do we stop this? That we stop this with step 1, working on rejecting the diet mentality. I know that's not easy. That is a process. And that's the first thing we do, by the way, in the Intuitive Eating Basics course. We start to dismantle your diet mentality and all the messages that you've gotten from diet culture. And over time, you will see that you will be able to go to these events, these parties, these weddings, and so forth, be exposed to all these foods, enjoy what you want to enjoy, and then not quote unquote overeat. And what happens after that? You feel guilt and you feel shame. That will no longer happen. Okay, let's see. Is there ever, this is one of my favorite questions. Is there ever a time when it's appropriate to honor emotional hunger? So this is great. This is a great question. Do any of you here with me live or listening on replay, do you ever find that you turn to food when you're in an emotional state? Yes? Pop a yes in the comment box. I know you guys are here. Why are we so quiet today? Come on. Tell me who's here. Tell me where you're calling from. Answer the questions. This is how we learn back and forth. Come on. Makes it more fun for me if you're interacting with me, guys. Okay, so emotional hunger. I'm going to go with yes. You probably have experienced that. So this person who submitted this question is really asking, is it ever appropriate to honor that? And here's my answer. Yeah. We're emotional human beings, right? We are people that have emotions. That is normal. It's natural to have emotions and to have feelings, right? If you turn to food in response to a particular emotion, let's say, for example, to soothe, for comfort, but it is only one strategy that you use from a toolbox of strategies on how to manage this emotion. And while you're choosing that food, you're staying fully present and mindful, and then you move on, then that's actually probably a fairly okay way to manage the emotion in that moment. But here's where it becomes a problem. When food is your number one go to, so you have a trigger, you're emotional, you're upset, you're sad, you're lonely, you're frustrated, any emotion, and you immediately think food, ice cream, cookies, chocolate, pasta, mac and cheese, whatever, what happens? It's your one and only strategy that you're using to deal with these emotions. And that is when it becomes destructive. That is when it becomes habitual and it becomes destructive. So, yes, there are times where you may say, you know what, I'm sad and I just need to soothe myself and I feel like having some ice cream. And you go to the freezer and you pull out the ice cream, you take some, you put it in a bowl, you put the ice cream back in the freezer, you sit down at the table, you eat, you enjoy, you savor it, you put the spoon down in between bites, you finish it, you put the plate in the sink and you move on. Okay. But most people aren't doing that if they're not really managing emotions with kindness and they're just seeking food. And so what they're then doing is going to the freezer, pulling out the ice cream and sitting or standing with that ice cream and eating right out of it. And now they have an out of body experience. They're using food to numb. This is when it is destructive. So that's the long answer to that short question. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody have any thoughts? Please let me know. Remember, if you have a question that you would like me to answer around intuitive eating, now is your time. This is an ask me anything. I'm happy to stay on and answer questions. There's got to be questions that you have. All right, I have a few more questions that I will share if you don't have any questions that you want to ask me live. I understand. Okay, here's another question. I understand that it takes time to regain trust. Now, I'll tell you a little bit about that question. When we were on the webinar last night, we talked about diets and how diets strip you of trust. I want to ask you about that. Do you resonate with that? If you've been dieting over and over and over again, has it stripped you of trust? Meaning trust in yourself, trust in your body, trust in your ability to make your own food choices? Because the answer generally is yes. And so the question here is, I understand it takes time to regain trust. No two people's journeys are the same. This is the person submitting this is acknowledging that. That being said, how much time does it take on average to become a confident intuitive eater? And that is so highly individual. So highly individual. Here's why. Some of the factors we have to consider is number one, how long you've been dieting, how strongly entrenched the diet mentality is, how long you've been using food to cope with your emotions, how willing you are to put weight loss on that shelf, right? That back burner. We talked about that on the training last night as being one of the big obstacles in this path, that we're still focusing on weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. These are the factors that we want to consider to determine how long, per this question, how long on average does it take to become a confident intuitive eater? So for some, it could just be a few months. For some, it could be a few years. But here's the thing. Every step of the way, you're learning and you're growing more confident. Every step of the way, you are regaining trust, thread by thread, rope by rope, little by little. Do you see what I mean? And you're going to enjoy the journey. It is not start here and there. That is dieting. This is a process. And the idea is to enjoy the process, because you will have many wins and many factors and things to celebrate along the way. And more than that, you will regain confidence in yourself. Remember what I said. If you were there with me live, I was talking about in the Intuitive Eating Basics course, we've got those modules, right? The 5 modules. We start with dismantling diet culture messages and your diet mentality. We detox from diet culture. And here's the thing, we redefine your self-worth. How many of you have your self-worth wrapped up in a number on the scale, a number on the tag of your clothing? And how has that impacted your life? We work to redefine that. It's transformative. We dig into your beliefs. Okay, let's get to the next question. Is portion sizes ever okay? You answer that for me. Who's here with me? Who wants to answer that? Is what was the question? Hold on. Is measuring portion sizes ever okay? So, no. You could do it if you want to, but that's still part of diet mentality. Because once you regain trust in yourself, your body is going to guide you as to the portion that your body needs in that moment. And the amount that you need of whatever said food we're talking about, whatever amount you need now might be different than later or tomorrow, even with the same food. That is why measuring and weighing portion sizes is part of diet mentality. It's interesting. I had a conversation with a client last week, and she was saying that she's having a hard time. She's just in the very beginning, right, of this process. And she's having a hard time knowing how much food to put on the plate. She said, I really think I need to weigh and measure. I need those portion sizes. And I shared with her and I showed her that no, her body really does know, but she hasn't been listening to that for so long. And so she has been disconnected from her inner hunger and fullness and satisfaction signals. And once you learn how to repair that hunger fullness meter and you bring back the connection with your body, you will not need to weigh and measure because you will have full trust. We go back to the word trust. You will have full trust in yourself. Okay. One more question here. Now, again, if you're with me live, please pop a comment. Let me know, what are your questions? Do you have any questions for me about intuitive eating, emotional eating, body image, the Intuitive Eating Basics course? Do you have any questions at all? Okay, so here's the next question. Actually, I want to see if I could. No, I'm not going to do that now. I was going to open up something, and I don't think I can do that without losing you. So I'll do it later. I'll share something with you guys a little bit later. Anyways, here's the question. What do you do if your doctor wants you to lose weight quickly and you can't wait for your weight to stabilize? Now, what we're talking about with the weight stabilizing is this. So this is going to be a 2-part answer to this question. First piece I want to address is about weight. Intuitive eating is not a weight loss program / diet, right? It's just not. And if there's anybody out there that you're following who is promoting weight loss through intuitive eating, truthfully, you got to run the other way. You got to run the other way because it's unethical. That's number one. Number two, I'm sorry, I see a comment come in. Thank you, Facebook user. Okay, there's no name, but that's okay. I'm going to get back to my thoughts in just a second here because I'm going to honor and thank you, the Facebook user, for posting a comment. I'm enjoying food I used to restrict, but I have trouble with gaining weight and my clothes no longer fitting me. How can I accept this? Okay, so what I'm understanding is you are bringing more foods into your life, but you feel that you are gaining weight and your clothes aren't fitting you, and it's hard to accept. So yes, number one, I have full compassion for you. I want you to provide self-compassion as well. Here's the thing. I don't know who you are, so it's hard for me to make an assessment, but here's generally what happens with our weight when we give up dieting and we move into this place of learning how to trust us again and become an intuitive eater. If you are coming into this process having suppressed your weight, so you've kept your weight low through years of dieting or just through the diets you've been doing and restriction, then it's very possible that your weight when you came into this process was below what your natural set point weight has been. And so it is possible that as you begin lifting the restrictions, incorporating more foods back, that you put on a little bit of weight in the initial stages of this process. If you are coming into this process from a place of binge eating, emotional eating, haphazard eating, where you're consistently gaining and gaining and gaining weight, then very likely you, through this process of no more yo-yoing, going through the process of making peace and trust and so forth, you very well may release some weight. So yes, some people gain, depending where you're coming in, some people lose weight, some people gain initially and then release the weight they gained, and some people's weight stabilize. But what I could share in my experience is that when you really do finally come to a place of peace without dieting, without yo-yoing in terms of eating, not eating, dieting, overeating, restricting, and so forth and so on, your weight stabilizes. You might lose some weight, you get to a point, your weight stabilizes, and you then have to say, am I okay with where my weight is stabilized? That I find is the hardest part for people, because their weight, they're no longer up and down, and they are so grateful for that. But in their mind, they want it to be lower. And they're comparing that weight to their lowest weight when they were dieting. Well, your lowest dieting weight is not a sustainable weight, remember. So if you have clothes in your closet that you purchased when you were at your lowest weight, or a weight that you were suppressing, those clothes aren't going to fit you. And my strong recommendation is that you go purchase some clothes that fit your here and now body. So many times people look at the clothes in their closet, or the gown they bought for this wedding, or the fancy dress or outfit for that, and now they're not fitting into it, and it's hard. But remember, what stage were you at when you bought those clothes? If you were in your dieting stage, those clothes aren't going to fit you. So Facebook user who's writing this comment, I would love to hear more about what you're saying about your clothes. Were they clothes that were purchased when you were dieting, or you were in the dieting years, or you were, again, suppressing the weight through dieting and restriction? Here's the pendulum situation. The pendulum goes like this. If you've been dieting and restricting and the pendulum is tight up here in restriction land, and now you're like, okay, I'm going to learn to habituate all foods. I'm going to learn to bring all these foods back into my life. And all of a sudden that pendulum swings all the way up to the other side, because they're like, bring it on, bring all the food, bring on all whatever you were restricting. And now you're eating it every single day, 3 times a day, which sometimes people do. And that's okay, because you're learning to accept these foods again. Yeah, you may gain weight for sure, because, your pendulum went up here, as we call it, diet land to donut land. You might have heard that before. But as you go through this process, what's going to happen is that pendulum is going to swing back down into the middle, and you're going to find neutralization there, and so will your body. Thank you, Bonnie. You're right. I was dieting. Awesome. Right. So who are you? What's your name? Pop your name so I know I'm talking to. First name is totally okay. Anybody else have any questions or thoughts? This is the time. And so in answer to this question, what do you do if your doctor wants you to lose weight quickly? Honestly, my honest answer is go find a new doctor. Because pushing their patients to lose weight quickly is harmful. It gives you, it's harmful to your physical health as well as your mental health. Oh, Lori, awesome. Lori, you were on the webinar last night, right? I think you were. I think I saw your name. Oh, the box, on Zoom. So you really need to find a new doctor. Find a new doctor who is aligned with intuitive eating and health at every size. So you don't feel shamed and you don't feel nervous to go to the doctor. And in fact, you go to the doctor, and you don't not go to the doctor for fear. I'm going to be weighed. They're going to shame me. I don't want to talk about my weight because I'm coming in for a sore throat. Why do I have to be told to lose weight? Which actually brings me to another thought. I'll never forget. I went for a flu shot I went for a flu shot and I get in the room and the nurse says, okay, get on the scale. And I was like, why? Why do I need to get on the scale? I'm here for a flu shot. She looks at me and she's like, huh. I said, yeah, I'm not getting on the scale today. I just want my flu shot. Here's my arm. Right? They don't think. They don't think. It was fine. Paula, hi. I was able to pop in at 17 minutes, just learned how to chat. Oh my God, you're so funny. I love it. Paula, did you hear my answer to your question? I don't really remember at what point in this live I was doing it, but I would encourage you as we wrap this session up to go back and listen. Lori, oh, I'm so glad you were there last night. Lori, what was, I don't want to put you on the spot, but what was one of your biggest takeaways from the webinar last night? So these are the questions that were submitted. If you have a question, please let me know now. Let me know now. I want to answer your questions. This is fun. Ask me anything. I'm here. So again, oh, Paula, you're going to go back and listen. Awesome. Okay. So again, intuitiveeatingbasics.com. If you are overwhelmed with intuitive eating, you sort of like hear about it, you tried it on your own, it doesn't quote unquote work, which we have to define what that even means. But that's part of the diet mentality too, which is what we talk about in Intuitive Eating Basics. Then you want to check this course out. If you, and the link, by the way, is intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. Hey, Paula, do you mind typing that in as long as you know how to chat now? Can you type that into the chat box for me? I would so appreciate it. www.intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. The live piece on that URL is very important because that's where you're going to get me live teaching you through these 4 weeks. So if you like how I'm doing my trainings, you're going to love the course. So I want to take just one moment because, look, I have so much to offer you. I want to know where you're at. So as I started to say, thank you so much. intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. Paula put the link there. Thank you, Paula. Yes, that is correct. intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. You got it. Thank you. So if you, number one, you're a chronic dieter, so you've dieted for many, many years. You've tried intuitive eating, but it didn't work. Or you've never heard of it until just now. And you're like, what is she talking about? What is this? This is the first exposure. If you were on the webinar last night, I introduced you to it. If you missed the webinar and you want the link, you've got to DM me. You've got to pop in the comment and tag me that you'd like the link to the replay, and I will be happy to share it with you. Or if you have done this intuitive eating, but maybe you read the book and it's just not clicking. Let's get started. Let me give you a systematic approach to get started on your intuitive eating journey. It's 4 weeks. It's just 4 weeks. But in that 4 weeks, you will begin to shift out of your diet mentality. You will have a full commitment to never diet again. You will have the support you need because community is key. You will reconnect with your hunger and fullness signals, which, by the way, they silence after years of dieting. You will redefine your self-worth, and we will bust through roadblocks that will inevitably come in your path. But I'm going to share strategies. So I was listening the other day on the radio, and I heard a motivational speaker speak. And he was saying that when we want to make change in our life, there are 3 things that we need. 3 things that are crucial to making lasting change. 3 C's. Number 1, coaching. We need coaching. We can't do it on our own very often, and that's okay. That is okay. We need coaching. We need support. We need guidance. We need an outside eye looking in to say, did you look at this perspective and consider this? We need consistency. Consistency in making changes. Consistency in staying committed to yourself. And so even when the going gets tough, you stay consistent with your commitment to never diet again, because dieting has been torture and has damaged you on a physical level and a mental health level. And the 3rd C is community. Being in community with other people is golden. When you try to make these changes on your own and you don't have the supportive community of other people going through the same thing as you, it makes it that much more challenging. Because throughout the process, you are, even when you believe, like, yeah, I got this practice down pat, I've got this intuitive eating thing going, but a curveball hits you and from life. I mean, I don't have to explain the pandemic was one major curveball, but there are other curveballs that hit. And all of a sudden you're shaken on your intuitive eating practice. Community is there to help you. So honestly, I do think that, especially with the way the world is today and the fact that we have so many ways to connect now online, by the way, that's not via social media, that we should all be in community for something. I'm personally in a support group in a community for a life and for business and things. And it's tremendous. It is tremendous. So this motivational speaker, I forget his name, and I'm sorry if I can remember, I will let you all know because he was great. 3 things to succeed in making lasting change in your life: coaching, consistency, and community. And those are all the things that you will be getting in Intuitive Eating Basics, this 4-week course. So check it out. Paula put the link in the chat box, intuitiveeatingbasics.com. Oh, actually, Paula, that's not right. Can you make a correction on that? It's intuitiveeatingbasics.com. We've got to write the .com because we've got to get to the website. intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. Doors close this Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. But I do want to share one more thing. If you were on the webinar last night, you heard this. And if not, I'm going to, because you're here with me live now, I'm going to share this. There is a bonus that you will get if you join by 6 p.m. this evening. That's Eastern time. It's my Food is Your Ally menu and recipe book. Now, let me talk a little bit about that. While you're learning to reignite your hunger and fullness signal, so basically, you're learning to repair your hunger fullness meter, it's very important to nourish yourself well, because nourishment means you're providing your body with what? Vitamins, minerals, protein, all the nutrients you need for optimal health. If you're sitting in the diet mentality, the thought of putting meals and menus together might be overwhelming for you. Is that, can you share? I want to actually ask you that. Is the thought of putting meals or menus together overwhelming for you? Because I know for a lot of people it is. Tell me. I want to look at the comments for a minute and just let me know while I type this in here for you. Is that overwhelming? Okay. That is the correct link, by the way, intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. So it is very overwhelming for so many people that I've encountered, that I talk about, that I talk to. And so this book, it's an ebook that you will get. It's downloadable. I provide you with 36 nourishing, well-balanced menu ideas, breakfast, lunch, dinner, some snacks, and a couple of recipes in there so that you don't have to worry about how do I nourish myself while I'm learning to reject my diet mentality. Ideas, not a diet, not a meal plan, ideas. Because here's the thing, when we eat food that we enjoy, that tingle our taste buds, when we provide our body with the nutrition that we need, something happens. We have more energy. Our mood improves. Our blood sugars are balanced. And the signals in our belly, those inner signals, I call it the inner wisdom, begins to come alive again. And then we begin to trust them. And that's a process, but we do. So if you want the access to that downloadable ebook, then you do need to join intuitiveeatingbasics.com, Intuitive Eating Basics course by tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern. So go to the link. I'm not sure it showed up on Facebook. I see it did show up on YouTube. I think Facebook is having a little bit of an issue, but intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. That's the live course where you'll get me every single week for a live Q&A and coaching. I'm committed to staying on that call to answer your questions, to clarify concepts. Right now, this course is only $197. Next time I run it live, it will be $247. You can, I don't know, even know when that'll be, because my daughter is getting married in January. And so I have to really turn my focus to planning that wedding. But it will, the investment on the live course is going to go up as when I run it again. So I highly encourage you to take me up on it, because I know you will not regret it. All right. So it's about 45 minutes we've been on now. I hope I answered questions. I hope the questions that were asked in advance, that I discussed, I hope they were helpful. And share this replay with anybody. And if you have any questions at all, you can pop a comment below. If you want to email me a question about the course, by all means, you can do so. Bonnie@dietfreeradiantme.com. You can DM me on Facebook or Instagram as well. By the way, if you're not following me on Instagram, you should. My handle is Bonnie R. Giller, Giller, because I do daily stories and posts, and I share live experiences that I have around my relationship with food, experiences that I have, just stories from clients. I share that in my daily stories on Instagram. So I highly recommend, no matter what you decide to do with the Intuitive Eating Basics course, that you head on over to Instagram. And if you're not following me there, you do that. Okay. So Bonnie R. Giller, that's me over at Instagram. All right. By the way, if you're watching me on YouTube and you haven't hit that subscribe button, you really want to do that, because I release videos on my Diet Free Zone show fairly frequently. And so I know they'll be of a help to you as well. So hit subscribe on YouTube, head to Instagram to follow me there, Bonnie R. Giller, and consider joining us in the Intuitive Eating Basics course, because you will not regret it. So intuitiveeatingbasics.com/live. All right. Any comments that you have after this live video is over, you can totally post it and tag me, and I will come back to answer. Have an amazing day, everybody. And I hope to see you in the course. Bye for now.